Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Snow or Day Sports. We have a very exciting episode for you today. Max, a lot of this has been developing in the last few minutes, and I'm pumped up about it. So,
No, there's a lot of exciting news coming into Minnesota sports recently, and by recently we mean very recently, and I'm very excited for it.
well, should we just hop on in?
Yeah,
Like,
might as
the
well.
commitment of Roman Voss has come out. For those of you that don't know, the 6'4", 225-pound athlete from Jackson County Central down in Jackson, Minnesota. He was narrowed down. He had his final two schools were at the Golden Gophers and the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Many people were saying, Alabama might have the edge just because he was took his official to Alabama this past weekend. It sounded like things went well, but Roman Voss will be a Golden Gopher. That wow, this was as of about 10 minutes ago as well. So.
I mean, huge get, number one player, number one recruit in the state of Minnesota, and I mean, I knew we had a good sign when you look. He's on his official visit to Alabama, and you look, and it's just all Gophers fans wanting him to go there. And I thought we were a little in trouble because they got that recency bias of it. It's like fresh in his mind, commits right afterwards. So it's like, especially being Alabama, you put that in the back of your mind, like, that's not always a great sign. But I'm very pleased that he decided to commit to Minnesota. Got a local legend coming back to the state.
Well, I'm just pumped up. I mean, he's a top 200 recruit in the country. Obviously, number one player in the state of Minnesota. I believe the Gophers are the top three players committed to the Gophers right now in the state, which is a very big deal. This is a big time to get. PJ Fleck's always been called from other, especially our rivals as a used car salesman. Well, a used car salesman just got himself a Lamborghini. And not just an old one, too, a pretty nice one. So.
Very probably the crown jewel of going to be his crown jewel of the recruiting class. I can't imagine too many better recruits coming in than him.
Mhm.
He uh he did a great job getting Roman to stay in the state of Minnesota, and I'm glad to see what he returns into in the next few years.
Yeah, and then obviously the next part for Roman or for the Gophers is to keep him committed through signing day. I think it definitely helps with signing day being in December now with the early period. Um, you know, I don't see him as someone that's going to enroll early just because small town kid. He's a big time athlete down there, great basketball player. Uh, I believe he's a track guy. Great at this is a great job on the in track and field. Um, uh, I mean, he's someone that you watch his film and you can tell he's pretty raw. He plays quarterback right now, which is pretty typical for a small school. Just putting your best athlete there, and he's going to turn in. I mean, possibly tight. They're saying he's going to be a tight end, possible D end, outside linebacker type of guy. I don't think he has a Big Ten arm, to be completely honest, as a quarterback, but this is a big time get though. Great athlete, super raw. And the big trend with these top recruits that come into the Gophers is are they coachable? Well, from everything I've heard, is Roman is very coachable, and he's going to develop just perfectly fine in Coach Nichols' strength and conditioning system there. And this is a big time get. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, he's definitely raw, like you say, but he has unlimited potential and he will be able to develop here. Probably won't play freshman year, and it will be interesting where they play him if they use him, like you said, as that tight end, or if they move him more to the defensive side of the ball. I could see him being the next Bev Span forward.
Hmm.
Maybe use him a little bit more than they use Ford in the passing game,
Hmm.
but I could see him being an in-state kid and turning into a top flight tight end because he has a good frame to work with. 6'4",
Hmm.
225. Definitely not lightweight. Maybe put on a little bit more weight, but they're going to give him time to do that and like let him be that athlete at Jackson County if he doesn't go and early enroll at the Gophers.
Hmm. Yeah, these are the kids that really, I mean, for my time, I guess paying attention to recruit or paying attention to Gopher recruiting and stuff like that. There's kind of two ways these small school kids go. I mean, Roman, he's a blue chipper, not very common for a small school Minnesota. These small school kids either they're not very coachable type of thing, which we've heard complete opposite. He's very coachable and they don't really develop and they end up transferring after a year or two. Or, small school kids come in and they just haven't had the opportunity to really be coached at a high level. Like he'll get at the University of Minnesota and he takes off and all of a sudden, he's a day one, day two draft pick in the NFL. Hard not to love what you're seeing. I mean, I look at Corey Parrish. I mean, obviously, we saw him as a sophomore in high school in the state tournament against New England Spicer, and we could tell the kid was different as an athlete. And then you see what he did when he got, no offense to Esco, Minnesota, but when he really got coached up at University of Minnesota, had a fantastic freshman season. Um, yeah, just
He's a preseason
these are the
All-American now. Cool.
yeah.
Like he was elite ball hawk last year at safety for the Gophers, and just you saw him progressively get more and more playing time as the season wore on, and instead of now, and then he became a punt returner too.
Mhm.
I don't think Jack Roman is going to be a punt returner for the Gophers. Not quite that type of athlete, but I'm hearing and he's still going to be a productive player, hopefully, and hopefully turn into a productive player. And then if he gets on the Coy train and that pipeline, I think we're going to get a really good player.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Gopher football recruiting, we've had an eventful couple of days as well. With yesterday, the Gophers received a commitment from a safety out of Texas and Trayshawn Richardson, 3-star. Gophers, the way it sounds, the Gophers kind of got on him early. He went to a TCU camp and walked out of there with a multitude of offers. Gophers were the first one, and he ended up committing to the Gophers out of that TCU camp. So that's a big commit out of Texas. Um, uh, Gophers got a D-line commit, or Gophers got a D-line commit in Josiah Anesi out of Murrieta. Trying to think where that is here. I believe it's California. A very physical uh, D-lineman, big frame, going to develop well for the Gophers. Got another tight end commit in Gabe Weaver, out of Missouri, number one tight end in Missouri. Man, Gophers could run a little double tight end here in a couple of years, and just freaking pound the rock, especially with our new 4-star running back commit. Um, uh, but PJ Fleck, he has a history of wanting to pound the ball, which having with the O-line additions in this class and a couple of really good tight ends, this could be, match made in heaven for Coach Fleck. And we had another Southern California commit. This is the class of 2027, actually. QB, Furian and Furo, or in Ferrero, which significant thing about this, modern day high school, Santa Ana, California. I don't know if anyone, he's going to be a junior this next year. He's competing for the starting job down there. And the way it sounds is he's going to be the guy going into the season. It's like he has the upper edge. Um, uh, he's a big 6'3" guy. Decommit. Gophers got him to decommit from Boston College, actually, committed to the Gophers. And if you guys know anything about modern day high school and the quarterbacks they developed for the last how many years, well, let's just say we're in good company there. I mean, you got with guys with the names of, Mark Sanchez, Matt Barkley, Colt Brennan, Matt Leinart, Bryce Young just a few years ago. This is, getting a big time gunslinger out of Southern California. I'm hearing, his recruitment is just going to continue to rise, but especially, going into his junior season. If the Gophers are able, this still 2 years away yet, but the Gophers have a handle on them early. If they continue to stay on them, this is gonna be a big time commitment and great start for the class 2027.
Yeah, for sure. It's always got to love to get the quarterback recruits. That's probably the most important aspect of your offense is having those quarterback recruits, and you can get these quarterbacks. He really hasn't had much experience. Going to go into his junior year,
Mhm.
maybe his first year starting if he does win that job. And if he does win that job, I assume a lot of other teams. So hopefully, being on him early will help
Mhm.
us throughout that race and keep him through 2027.
Mhm. Well, as we shift back to the class 2026, A couple of my sources here have indicated another small school recruit in the state of Minnesota. I believe is it? I can't remember what he's rated currently in the state of Minnesota. Peters John from Triton High School. He was just on his official over at Penn State this past weekend. 6'4", 185-pound athlete. From what I'm hearing, don't quote me on anything yet because this isn't set in stone or anything. Sounds like the Gophers, or he's getting crystal balls to the Gophers, which that would be another huge commitment. Top 500 player in the country, small school athlete, very raw. They're saying possibly tight end, more or less receiver. And they could see him playing outside linebacker. I believe he plays quarterback at his high school right now. So raw athlete, great basketball player. Was in was in the state tournament this year in track in multiple events. This is that would I mean not set in stone yet, but that would be another huge commitment for the Gophers to get Pierce Peters John. A lot like Roman in a way, big frame. Uh, Probably hasn't had the greatest coach in the world coming from a small high school and down in Dodge Center, which is not a very big town. But if we're able to get him, he'll be able to develop and become a great player.
I could see him fitting much more into a receiver type role versus Roman. He's a little smaller than Roman. Was track MVP at the state tournament, so he's a very good athlete. Has ridiculous basketball numbers. Can pretty much do anything as an athlete. So he would also be another great pickup. I actually have more fear about him going to Penn State than I had Roman going to Alabama. I could see Penn State being on him heavily. Happy Valley,
Hmm.
they actually won some games this playoffs. Actually made it to the playoffs with the expanded. Now, did they beat some of the best teams in the playoff? No, not really, but no, they're still a really good team. Definitely in that upper echelon of the Big Ten. And that would be another great get to have.
Yeah, like I said, not set in stone yet. He was just in Happy Valley this past weekend, like Roman was doing in Tuscaloosa. But for the Gophers to be able to snag him, hopefully they're able to continue that momentum. And Peters John, realizes, hey, Roman's coming here. My turn now, and because from what I understand is Roman and Pierce were on their official together at the University of Minnesota. They were there the same weekend. Sounds like they're pretty good friends. Not too far away from each other, about just over an hour from each other. That'd be a little
I'm,
southern Minnesota connection there would be awesome.
no, for sure. They would, yeah, hopefully they can get each other to go there and have that relationship. One follows the other, and that probably does help. You can focus more attention on Peterson and have him have more resources towards him, and hopefully they can get a good deal worked out so he can also be wear the maroon and gold.
Mm. Well, one thing I've also noticed in the past few years, especially this year as well, is PJ Fleck will talk. He talks about it every year at the signing day press conference, and about how well the current recruits recruit all their players to the University of Minnesota, which that really speaks about the culture that Coach Fleck has built there. You know, from what I've heard, is a million. Howie Johnson, uh, apparently he reached out to Roman Voss multiple times during Roman's recruiting process to get him committed to the University of Minnesota. Howie, obviously four-star DN out of Forest Lake, f committed to the Gophers right now in the class 26, and he's a big commitment, and so Gophers, building something special right now. I
Oh,
don't.
absolutely. I mean, the thing with Peterson that might help us out is hopefully we can get a little NIL money from McNeelius headed
Hmm.
his way to maybe get into that maroon and gold. Very deep pockets there, so hopefully maybe we could get some of that towards not maybe even the Dinkytown Collective.
Hmm.
Just curious. I mean, I wouldn't be too picky.
Yeah, one thing I've really been impressed with too as well with the Dinkytown Collective is how they've expanded as well over the last, since it was really created. Like we saw Coy Parrish throw out the first pitch the other night at the Twins game, in part because of the Dinkytown sports, and And Gophers have really stepped it up a notch in the NIL. I personally didn't think the Gophers would be able to do that much in NIL, but it's been awesome to see. Um, Drake Lindsay and on multitude of Gophers I know. Matt Kingsbury, I've actually partied with him a few times, but those a group of those guys were just over in Otter Tail Lake. Uh, a couple of big donors to the Gophers put them up in a cabin, got them on some fish this past weekend, got them playing golf, and it sounds like, and those are the things you don't think of when you're committing to a school is what's the state, what's, the surrounding area like? Well, Minnesota is 99% Gophers. Outstate, it's, you know, that's just how it is. Minnesota supports the Gophers. That's not something a lot of people think about. You come up here to where I am here in central Minnesota, and you drive around Gull Lake, which I work on, and you see Gopher flags up, and the support is real.
Oh, absolutely. And it's important to have that fan base, especially for guys like the in-state guys to see that and like even guys that play for the Gophers to have that and like have that fan base around. And that's super important.
Mhm. I expect it to maybe tone down, in the next few weeks here. The recruiting cycle for the class 26 was, Gophers always hit it pretty hard early. But, as we get more into later in the summer, the middle of summer here, the coaches will be focused on getting ready for fall camp. A lot of, these high schoolers are getting ready for to start their senior season, so they might tone down a little bit. We could expect, maybe after Pierre's down, maybe another commit or two or three, but it's going to tone down a little bit here, as these coaches and players get ready for their senior seasons. But definitely a great start heading into the season. Everybody's expecting Drake Lindsay to take over the reins from Max Brosmer this coming season. Darius Taylor. I mean, he's a fantastic ball player. And Corey Parrish, we talked about him, great ball player. You know, lot Gophers are, this is kind of weird to say, there's not a lot of outside excitement about the Gophers, I mean, I guess there never really is, but the Gophers are quietly coming in and they're gonna, they might be underdogs in a few games, but they're gonna surprise a lot of people, I think, this year, and so I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. It's there is quite a bit of talent on this team. It'll be interesting if they can reach it fully and if Darius Taylor needs to have 1,000 carries this year or not. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm definitely hoping not, because we saw what happened with Mohammed Ibrahim when he was getting the ball 50 times a game. So no disrespect to Mo, great ball player, just
Human body can't handle that many carries.
right.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if they can have a little bit more balance than they have had in years past.
Mhm. But the Gophers also did bring in a transfer running back from Marshall, explosive back. Almost reminds me a lot of Mo Ibrahim. Doesn't have breakaway speed, but is really shifty between the tackles, takes contact well. I believe he was all conference and All American last year. So that may be a good 1-2 punch like we had last year with DT and Marcus Major. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to have like PJ wants to have that good running game. Still having Darius Taylor back, they can have a little bit of depth too, because that's just so killer too. To
mm,
have depth in that backfield, wear you down, and have someone fresh come in and break off a couple runs to just wear you down even more.
mhm. Yeah, and I will say, Darius Taylor is not like the prototypical Gopher running back. Uh, he's a lot more versatile than I think a lot of people think. He's a very good pass catcher. You can line him up out wide, and he's very smooth with his routes. And not your prototypical Gopher running back. When I think of Gopher running backs, I always think of guys like Rodney Smith, Shannon Brooks, and Mohammed Ibrahim that would are just going to pound you. And we look at that 2019 Gopher team, and we had all three of those guys in that team. And every game was really, all right, which one's going to take over this game? And that was a very special year because we had three, I mean, legit RB1s. And, I don't think we're going to have that again, for some time, just because the way things kind of worked out with med reds that year. I mean, it was weird because, we had two fifth-year guys in Brooks and Smith that year. and Tanner Morgan, who obviously had a fantastic year, especially with and Tyler Johnson and Rashad Bateman out wide.
And that was pre-COVID years,
Yeah, that
or
was
before everybody was a fifth year, fifth, sixth year.
yeah, that was a unique season, and yeah, we had three legit RB1s that year, and that just proved, the depth you can have, especially at the running back position in the Big Ten. Yeah, that's going to be a difference maker. So,
Yeah, we'll talk about Gopher football more when they get closer to those games.
mm. All right, jumping ahead to the Men's College World Series. Now, Max, how are you feeling about it? My most important thing, the Jello shot record wasn't broken this year. Fortunately enough, LSU has the number one and two spots all time. They just came up short this year. I think, if we were at a game three of the finals, LSU gets close, but I don't know.
LSU pitching had very different plans. They weren't sticking around for that third game. They kind of just quieted Coastal's bats and they just rode on that. I mean, you had excellent performance out of LSU in game one from Cade Anderson. You went 9 shutout innings, and if you can get that out of the pitchers, you're going to win a lot of games. And
Mm. So something interesting to note as well. Yeah, as you're saying, went the 9 innings, 3 hits allowed, 10 Ks. He did walk 5 guys, but I mean that's going to happen obviously when, especially when you throw 130 plus pitches. And he was not really dropping much in velocity either. I mean, I think his last pitch of the night was what 93, 94. And I mean, it's something, MLB, you see guys get pulled after 80 pitches a lot of times. And well, college, that's a bit different. This guy's throwing 130 pitches and he's not dropping velocity at all. He's in there humming it. Paul Skeens, like you could say, not as hard as Paul, obviously. I mean, Paul's built in a lab. I don't know, but
not too many pitchers are Paul Skeens.
but LSU connection there though.
No, for sure. And I think the interesting part of that in game one, it was 1-0. LSU scored in the first and then just didn't need to score again. They were like, all right, we got our 1 run. We're good.
mm, Yeah, then I credit Coastal Carolina's pitching staff as well, though. Their starter threw a very quality game. Yeah, he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run in the first, had 9 Ks, threw 101 pitches, 67 strikes, so very solid. Shout out, I mean, that was impressive by itself.
I mean, I bet Coastal would have taken that every day of the week, game one, taking that out of your pitcher, only 4 hits, 6 innings, 1 run. I feel like Coastal would have taken that in a heartbeat. It was just Kate Anderson was just better on that day. And
Yeah, and that's the beauty of baseball too, is you know, especially national championship, two really good pitchers that have their stuff, and one, you can make one bad pitch, and he was maybe a few inches off of where you wanted to put that pitch, or it got hit up the middle for, the only run of the game for LSU. But I credit Coastal Carolina pitcher, after that first inning, he locked in, said, "All right, this is done." Shout out Fluky, and I credit him, and shout out their bullpen as well. And Carboni came in, 2 innings, 2 hits, 2 Ks, no runs. I mean, didn't walk a guy. So, and from what I remember as well is his first batter of the game, or his first batter in that seventh inning there, he was down 3-0 and came back and got it ground out. And so that was impressive.
yeah, for sure they did. Yeah, it was quite the pitchers duel, not just from Lukey, but Carbone on the Coastal Carolina side, providing the counter punches to Anderson. Just 1 run was all it was it. And it was interesting. LSU almost hit into a double play. They just hit it just softly enough where they weren't able to turn two.
Mhm.
LSU gets the base hit the next batter, and now it's 1-0, and that's all you needed.
Mhm. Which there was also a situation in that game that we wanted to talk about here regarding a hit batter, and this is going to be very interesting. And the fact of that it was interesting as well because it was a 3-2 count. So,
No, absolutely. So for those of you that didn't see it, LSU got into a full count. The pitch throws it, pitch runs inside. Definitely was going to be a ball.
ball
Hits
four
the
away.
yeah, hits the LSU player in like the elbow guard. they rule, but he like as he was like turning away, he like dipped his elbow into it, so they ruled he intentionally got hit by the pitch, which I agree with. I definitely would say that. So in college baseball, it's a strike. So because it was a full count, he got out. In my opinion, I don't think it should be a strike. Just call the pitch as it was going to be. Don't give him his base. I understand that, but I think it's dumb that that's a strike, and now he's going to walk back to the dugout.
Right. Yeah. I mean, throwing in, I mean, the fast count as well just makes it even more interesting. But I'm going to go differently here. I mean, you knew it was going to be a ball, and you decide, throw it in there. I feel like you need to get punished for that type of thing. Even though it was a three, you could say, yeah, 3-2 count, all that. I mean, you knew it was going to be a ball. You leaned your elbow in intentionally. I feel like you need to get punished for that. I agree with the call. I will say that. I agree after the review with the call. The smart challenge by the Coastal Carolina coaching staff. And yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I believe he needed to get punished for it. Getting punished is the only way these players are going to learn. I'm not sure what the rules of MLB, but
Why is it
just
built up at every other level that they just don't get their base? I mean, that is punishment enough, in my opinion. You just don't get your base. Like, don't do it. Like, we're not going to give it to you. Like, it almost feels like yeah, it was weird that he tried now to like get hit because either way, it's ball four.
right. That's what I thought was so unique about it as well is it's ball four. And as a player, you probably know the rules better. You obviously know the rules better than me. Um, uh, why are you leaning into it?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that was very dumb. Fortunately, it didn't cost LSU the game. Otherwise, Charles Schwab Field may have burned to the ground.
Right.
But like, yeah, I still think it's dumb. Like every other league, it's just like, yeah, you're still here. I mean, in this case, he would have just said, yeah, it's ball four. Go take your base, whatever. And like, yeah, it's like it's dumb. I mean, yeah, yeah, I feel like that's a dumb rule. Just call it a ball or a strike, I guess, if it was over the plate. Now, I kind of want to disincentivize it, especially like having Max Scherzer lose a perfect game because the guy almost
That reminded me exactly of that. Like,
that one was even more egregious. He was like,
I
he almost
agree.
took
That
away
was
a
way more
strike.
egregious.
Like that one almost took away a strike, and yeah, that one was like blatant. And yeah, this is just like one of the weird quirks of college baseball is that's the only league where it's an automatic strike,
Mhm.
which I still think is dumb, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. LSU won. I don't think they'll care too much.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, but also LSU fans were saying he didn't intentionally do it.
I think it was pretty intentional.
It looked rather intentional. I like to say perception is reality. It sure looked like that was intentional.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
watching it live, I thought it looked pretty intentional, and when they slowed it down, I thought it looked really intentional. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah, just take your base. Don't, yeah. I don't know why he tried to do that there in that moment, but he's a national champion, so who am I to
yeah,
criticize?
right. Well, yeah. As we mentioned, LSU won game one. Pitcher still game two though. This it was rather interesting, especially in the first inning with the. I don't like to criticize officiating or umpiring too much because I officiate, but come on, man.
That
I
is
mean, come
that
on.
that was severe case of rabbit ears.
Yeah. And the funny part too is, the one ump trying to block him, and he trips on his own shoelace and falls down, and
Yeah, it was the umps were a major storyline in game two, especially
yeah,
during that first inning. Because I think Coastal Carolina, their coaches would have been suspended game three.
oh yeah, I think they would have too, yeah,
Yeah,
for
so it
making
was
contact with the umpire and yeah, and ejected.
taking. I feel like you could have appealed that one. That one may have been overturned on appeal, but yeah, no, there was definitely suspensions looming. I mean, we were almost close to getting a call, I assume. They lost their first base coach. Manager gets ejected right away.
Mhm.
First base coach also gets ejected. You don't see that all that often from coaches, especially
Mhm.
like base coaches to get ejected. I mean, it seemed like a pretty soft ejection too, and just not only in a regular season game, but in a elimination game in Omaha.
Right, and national championship as well.
Yeah.
From what we've been told is that umpire he was an MLB 2 years ago. Got demoted because he was pretty he, let's just say he threw guys out without much of a without much getting said to him. So
Quick trigger, quick trigger.
yeah, and he gets demoted to College World Series, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to see in the college. Umpires never want to be talked about, especially
Right,
like during a game, and like that for them to be talked about in that way is pretty bad, and like takes away from LSU. They won the game,
right,
won
but
the national title in 2 games, swept the college men's college World Series, and not a lot of people were talking about them afterwards.
right. They were, yeah, the focus was on the umpires, and
And
that's
yeah,
unfortunate because LSU played a great game. Bats kind of finally came alive for both teams. We actually saw some runs, more than one this game,
yeah.
and in a 5-3 game taken by the Tigers from down in the Bayou. But yeah, I didn't get to watch this game a whole lot just because I was busy at work. But kind of what were your thoughts?
I mean, LSU was finally exploded for their big inning. They heard the commentators talk about it. They're the big inning, the big inning. 4-run fourth, put them over. It's tied 1-1. They have that 4-1 fourth, and they can just kind of coast all the way through the rest of the championship. And that's all you really need. And like an explosive offense like that to have their big inning and just that explosive. And like you have the momentum back, and it's less nervousness. Like, oh, is this the day we do it? Are we going to do it? It's like, we are going to do it. And like, we're excited because it takes that edge off.
hmm The pitching for LSU, they had can't remember what even this is Addison. He went six in the third, 7 hits allowed, 3 runs. And they were both earned, or all three of them were earned, one walk, 9 Ks. So he he definitely threw pretty well. Then Shores came in the seventh, and he gave up 1 hit, struck out 4. Looked very efficient. Yeah, a really impressive series by the LSU pitching staff.
I mean, doesn't look as great when you compare it to a 9 inning shutout the day before, but I mean, you said efficiency right there. 28 pitches, 22 strikes, and almost 3 innings. Like that's just efficient. That's getting outs right there. And LSU fans are celebrating the fact like the one of the best duos in college baseball, and they put it on display here. Basically, won them a College World Series. Like
hmm
be on the backs, like definitely won them that championship series. Definitely was a bright spot for that LSU team.
hmm Yeah, I mean LSU, they just reminded everybody that they truly are a dominant force in college baseball. Every year, I feel like Vanderbilt kind of gets the attention. They were down in the first round this year of the regionals.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, for LSU, to come out and the SEC didn't have the greatest of regionals and super regions this year. I will say that. But LSU proved that baseball in the Southeastern Conference is still legit, and they were dominant.
and I think it's so interesting how they almost lost to another SEC school in at least game one. Now they had 2 chances to beat Arkansas. Who knows
Mhm.
what would have happened Thursday? But they needed Arkansas to be Arkansas when it came to Omaha, and I guess I said they'd overcome the Demons. Demons fought back even harder against them. I mean, it was you just watching it live, it's oh no. Oh no. It's just like everything that could go wrong for that Arkansas team did. And LSU was more than happy to oblige and capitalize on their opportunity in the championship series.
Yeah, and Coastal Carolina was hot too. I mean, they lost 2 games, through regionals, super regionals. And that was in the national championship series,
Yeah. No,
and
it's
so they were very hot coming in. And Tiger pitching staff shut them down, and yeah,
yeah, they didn't lose at all during the month of yeah, didn't lose at all during the month of May. These are their only 2 losses during June. They were on a 26-game winning streak heading into the championship series, and LSU to shut them down.
Mhm. So yeah, very impressive performance by the Tigers.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? Some more Southern Cats had a great week as the Florida Panthers and Dalton's local legend last week, Nate Schmidt, took home the Stanley Cup, and Dalton, I think they're just now finally sobering up.
Yeah, and I was, without the Stanley Cup, keep it in America. No offense to all our Canadian friends out there, but very impressive series by them. Very cool for a Minnesotan to be able to hoist the Stanley Cup up again. Very impressed by the Florida Panthers, and man, good week to be a sports fan coming out of the southern part of the United States, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the Panthers did something that was very cool. So they'd won Stanley Cup last year. This is back to back now, and I think what they made sure the first people who got to hoist the Stanley Cup on the ice were players not on the team last year.
Mhm.
Players winning their first Stanley Cup, the Nate Schmidts of the world, getting to do that, and I think the only players least excited the Panthers won the Stanley Cup than the Oilers were the agents as I don't think they're too legally binding, but I think Bill Zito is going to try to get these guys signed as soon as possible. Hopefully, the alcohol hasn't quite worn off yet. Sam Bennett, I think, has basically agreed to a 8-year contract with Florida. At least that's what he's telling everybody in the elbow room. The 11, like, yeah, no, they're having a great time. The parade just had their parade, and I think it's cool to see the exhilaration of a bunch of hockey players.
Yeah, and for the Panthers to be able to do it in 6 games and did it very convincingly, the 5-1 score. You look at the stats from that game. Stats obviously don't tell the whole story. Edmonton actually outshot them for shots on goal by 4. Hits were 29-28. Edmonton won that, but penalty minutes, 12 penalty minutes for Edmonton, 2 for the Panthers. And you look at, 2 empty net goals by the Panthers, which kind of iced it away, but still very impressive performance.
No, definitely. You could tell that the Panthers were just a better team, better coached, and they just wanted it more, and they were out hustling the Oilers. The Oilers just wore down, and that was a constant problem. But throughout the series for the Oilers was they were just always in that penalty box and have never played like their hockey and just got worn down. And it's a testament to the Panthers that they could play that kind of hockey and how dominating they looked to close out that series.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, just getting back to, they let they won it last year, but they let the guys that didn't win it last year hold the cup first, which that just speaks a lot to the culture that they are building down there, and very cool to see, especially at the professional level. You don't, uh, a lot of it's about money at professional level, but for that culture to kind of come together there, something very unique and something cool to see.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know how many other professional teams can say this, but they preach culture. Obviously, a lot of teams will say that, but they'll go out to eat like as a team, like 40 people. Like that's not just the players, the coaches. It's like the traveling staff too. They'll all go out together, build that camaraderie.
Mhm.
And that's just you don't see that a lot in professional sports.
Right. And even in college sports, sometimes, each team kind of teams, each team kind of has their own group type of thing. And, one group of guys go here, another go another way. But, uh, you don't really expect that at the college level to begin with, but, see at the professional level, everybody's going to dinner together. I'm assuming, bonding throughout the year really carried them through. And Coach Bergstrom down when on state, he always preached love, and you can tell that's definitely an organization that all those guys, trust each other, they love each other like brothers, and something very cool to see.
Any given Sunday speech, the person that's willing to die for that inch and die for
Yeah.
that person next to him. And just something you saw in that Florida Panthers team. And it's not really a big shock why they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Right. All right. Well, as we shift professional sports, let's go to the NBA. The Thunder were able to get it done last night. Unfortunately for the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton went down early in the game, torn Achilles. Tough start, and that's just not the way you want to begin. Game 7, obviously, and they just weren't really able to rebound from that. And the Thunder kind of got out to a lead and ended up, just doing what the Thunder do, and that's, you know, get to the free throw line and make you pay.
Absolutely. That sucked to see Halliburton tear his Achilles. I don't know what the result of the game would be. I'm not saying the Thunder would have won or lost with Halliburton out there,
Mhm.
but it sucks we don't get to find out.
Right.
I mean, that's probably the worst part. Like, you want, like, because you could just sense that the Thunder were going to win once Halliburton's out. And I feel NBA fans and basketball fans in general just wanted to see a Game 7 classic. And that kind of just puts a damper on it.
Yeah, and I mean that's not going to just affect Game 7. Obviously, it's going to affect next year because he'll be out a significant amount of time this next season. He might even miss the whole season. That's just the reality of a torn Achilles, and we're hoping he can come back sooner, obviously. But that's just unfortunate. Injuries suck in general. And that's the way it goes, though. Tyrese Halliburton, like you said, everybody wanted to see just a classic Game 7. It just sucks we couldn't do that. I really felt like once that injury kind of happened, that kind of took all the wind or a lot of the wind from Pacers and gave it to the Thunder, which is unfortunate, but just the way it goes.
This Thunder team is going to be very scary for years to come.
Mhm.
NBA drafts this Wednesday. They have 4 first-round picks.
Right.
And it's they had another prospect not even played for them at all. He was hurt. So it's just scary what they have coming into the tank
Yeah,
to an already loaded roster.
yeah, very young as well. So they might go, unless, guys get money hungry here. But, when you're winning championships, I don't think you don't get that seriously money hungry. But you never know. They're going to be scary the next few years.
Oh, they're
Poss Possibly the next dynasty. I mean, I
yeah.
hate to say it, but
Yeah, and it's interesting the amount of adversity they'd had to push through to get to this point this year.
mm,
Denver pushes them to 7. Pacers push them to 7. Wolves, not even close to pushing them to 7.
right.
But no, like to have be a little grit on their way there is that's so important. But how lackadaisical their celebration was compared to the Panthers.
Yeah, I was very disappointed by that. I mean, when you win a championship, I mean, you gotta celebrate harder than that, man.
They didn't know how to pop champagne bottles.
No, they were asking their teammates to YouTube how to pop champagne bottles. I mean,
That's that just shows the youth of that team.
right.
So yeah, they are definitely. I mean, they had 68 wins this year, so it's not like they're some Cinderella team. No, they were won the West by like double-digit games. They were just wire to wire, a very elite basketball team this year.
Mm, I agree.
I think it's time to transition to a team that is not having an elite time right now and very much struggling, our Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, and there has been a bright spot. We'll get to that in just a second here with the guy with the name Byron Buxton. As a team, it's been a very tough stretch for the Twins here. Um, what's their record last time? Is it
1-5. They were 1-5 this, so they're 2-10 their last 2 weeks.
uh,
That's not very good.
no, yeah, we talked about it a few episodes ago, and this is gonna be a really big stretch and not going well at all. I mean, pitching's been a disaster. Um, Batting average, I mean, we're hitting okay, but it's just pit, the bullpen, starting pitching staff, we're not getting quality starts. The bullpen's not doing their and not performing great. It's tough stretch here. It's going
I
to
will,
happen through a long season.
I will say one bright spot on this team is Byron Buxton the last week. He had 6 home runs over the last week, and he's somebody who's fighting to be an all-star in his home state of Georgia, maybe even be in that home run derby. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know how great he would be in it. They're not a super great, but I'm sure he could rise to that occasion, especially in front of his hometown people.
Yeah, he has been a really bright spot here. And Twins fans, for what seems like forever, we've always heard about Byron Buxton, he's gonna turn out good. He's finally kind of turning that corner. Last few years you could see he started to turn that corner. This year he finally has. He's playing extremely well. Staying healthy right now. This is a really good sign for the Twins, and really good to see for a guy like Byron Buxton.
Oh, absolutely. Like that was always the thing with Buxton. It was never a question about the talent being there, it's the talent being on the field and being able to play into the games. Because when he's there, he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's probably one of, if not the best center fielder in baseball.
Mhm.
So it's good to see him actually be relatively healthy this year.
Yeah. I mean, I wish all our superstars could be like that. I mean, Royce Lewis, he's been bouncing in and out of the lineup. I'm not even really sure what his status is right now,
He,
unfortunately.
he's still injured. He got re-injured again. He wasn't having that great of a season. He was on the bounce back, got hurt again.
Mm,
So hopefully, yeah, hopefully Buxton can keep it up. But 6 home runs in a week is pretty dang good.
mm,
Someone else I want to say is also a bright spot, Louis Varland.
I would
I mean,
agree.
you mentioned it, pitching, not great. Definitely, it's been horrible. We'll touch on that a little bit more later. But like Louis Varland hasn't given up. It's gone in his last 3 appearances, 3 1/3, 1 hit, no runs. It's just shutdown reliever and a guy who can eat up a few innings for a pitching staff that desperately needs it. And they've been a pitching staff that has definitely struggled over the last couple weeks, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, he has been a bright spot. It's just, it, it's just tough when you're starting pitching, not getting the job done. You have a shutdown reliever like Varland right now, and he's not getting the recognition he deserves, type of thing, just because, you know, it seems like we're already kind of out of the ball game when he comes in, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, you can't get all that much high leverage situations. So, Dalton, I want to read off some run totals for you over the last week: 6, 4, 5, 6, 9, 9 again.
Ooh,
That's not going to win a lot of games, but you know what? 4 runs in a game isn't that bad until you realize that game was only 6 innings long, got rained out the rest of it, and they called it after four.
right.
Like, I doubt the bullpen was going to go in there and throw 3 shutout innings.
Mm,
And like league average is about 4, 4 1/4. I just listed 6 games. Probably not. None of them are going to be under league average. And you're not going to win too many games like that.
mm. Yeah, there was definitely a few games there where, the offense was maybe lacking a little bit, but there's also been games here where the offense is doing enough to win games. Yesterday we scored 8 runs and lost. And 2 days ago, obviously we got shut out at 9-0, but 3 days ago we put up six, we gave up 17. Um, we put up 12 the other day, but we still gave up 5 runs and a win. It's just tough. Big stretch. This was a big stretch we talked about, and not being able to get it done it's tough.
Yeah, it's just putting yourself more and more out of it. Because what we win like winning series, and if you can't win series, at least take one game.
Mm,
They can't even take one game.
right.
I mean, the in defense of last week, the offense didn't really pick up till the game was out of reach.
Mm,
It was 9-3, 9-4 at one point, so it's not like it was all that close either, and it was just low leverage. But like, and something like I want to mention in that shutout lost was maybe probably gonna be the worst swing of the season from Willie Castro. They were getting shut out. He got a nasty slider, and he did not do well with it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's being shut out. I mean, Jacob Mizorowski threw 6 perfect innings. He's just debuting. He was on quite a streak. Yeah, and he throws pitches like that, just sat Willie Castro down on that swing.
Yeah, quite literally too.
Is that going to be the worst swing of the year from a Minnesota Twin?
I unfortunately would have to probably agree. That's ugly.
I mean,
I,
hopefully that's
I,
the
I
worst.
don't care how good of a pitch it is. You're a major leaguer. Um, Figure it out, man.
I mean, yeah, and it's not like we're facing these elite staffs either. Like Mizorowski, really good debuting guy, but like he's still young. This is like his second, third career start. Jose Quintana got into us a little bit, and like we're struggling with guys like that, and it's just can't have that happen.
Right.
Yeah, like you just can't have that happen at the major league level, and like as ways to like get out of this funk that you're in.
But
Just yeah.
long season though. I mean, hopefully we can figure it out here. Going on a nice another nice run here. Yeah, it's tough right now.
Oh, absolutely. Like now we're fourth in the division now after probably being close to competing with the Tigers, maybe not scaring them definitely a little bit, like in that position
Mm,
to be second. Now you're in fourth.
yeah,
You're 2.5 games now out of a playoff spot after
right.
firmly in there. And like you gotta stop sliding eventually. Can't
Yeah,
just be shoots, you gotta be ladders eventually.
I would have to agree. Yeah, just tough all around right now. I mean, no, we'll figure it out though. I'm confident we'll figure it out. It's just if we do, let's do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean it's good opportunity to have a rebound series against Mariners team who currently is right in that playoff bubble.
Mm,
A team you need to get some wins against. Like definitely can't be shut out, especially when you're playing four against them.
mm.
And
Yeah,
then at Detroit, so that's a huge week. Like
yeah, home series, a home 3-game series with Seattle here, and yeah, on the road at Detroit. So, if we can take four, maybe, I mean, even three out of this 6-game stretch here, I'll be happy.
yeah, that I mean like yeah, we definitely got to win both. I would love to win both series.
But I still think that's a reality right now.
Right, like you got to win. You got to at least win. You got to split with Seattle in that 4-game series at home. Like that's got to be a split.
Mhm.
Like you gotta definitely can't be swept by Detroit.
Right.
Like you can't have another 1-win week. And I like that's just something that like you eventually got to figure out. Like you got to be on a you got to eventually start peaking. Maybe not necessarily, and like this is probably maybe a little early to say this is the right time to start peaking, but you got to at least flatline here a little bit.
Yeah. You know, you never want to be in a situation towards the end of the season where you really need to win games. I mean, unfortunately, that's a reality for a lot of teams at the end of the year that, we need to win 8 out of the final 12 or something like that. I mean, you don't want to be in that situation. And the best way to not be in that situation, win now. So,
Yeah, they count the same here now as they do in September. And I remember us joking last week that we had a worse week than the Rockies, and
well, it's
we got
continuing.
our ass kicked by the Rockies this week. They won 4 of their 7 games this week, and the Twins could only win 1 of 6. So I mean, like you can't be compared to the team a Rockies team. That just
Right. But shout out to the Rockies, though.
hey,
Hey.
they're figuring some stuff out. I mean,
Uh-huh.
they're very much struggling, but they're figuring stuff out. I mean, yeah, I mean, well, that might be a close race to watch if they're able to beat the White Sox and when they do.
Mhm.
Heck, even the White Sox had more wins than us last week.
Oh, stop it. You're making me feel even worse.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be a long episode if I went through all the teams who had a better record than us last week.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm gonna stop at 2 for before we feel even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean I'm sure they're not happy with where they are now, and something will click.
Right. Well, Max, you been out golfing at all?
I mean, I try to get out. I mean, it's been a scorcher here in Bloomington, but I try to get out when I can. I got out quite a bit this weekend.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's been a scorcher here in central Minnesota as well. Been good for, my job. We're making lots of money there, but
I mean, how often do you go out golfing? Because like I can't imagine it'd be easy for you to find clubs that you can swing.
I made a purchase recently. Yeah, bought my brother's clubs. Went and bought a new driver today and went to the range after, and hey, I'm starting to feel it. I mean, that 9-iron swing, hey, he might be a pitching wedge. I had a few early on where, I hit dang near hit another person, but hey, I was hitting her straight. I was getting pretty precise in my accuracy there. Got some good loft on it. Driver, when it's not flying 10 miles to the right with a slice, it's going a pretty good distance. I think I snapped you today and said I think I just hit a ball about 400 yards. And
Yeah, I would like to get the track man on that to know the actual distance.
I would too, to be honest. I know, it flew. All I'm gonna say is it felt dang good. And the guy around me, guy swinging around me was like, "You really just hit that far?" Yeah, I mean, people often mistaken me for Jamie Sadlowski, but I normally say, "Oh, Jamie's 5'11", I'm 6'8", but that's really the only difference."
Yeah, sometimes that's all the difference you need.
Yeah. Any news regarding golf here recently, or has it been
I mean, we
pretty on
saw
the down low right now?
we saw collapsed probably one of the guys who's very much overdue for a win in Tommy Fleetwood. Goes into 18 at the Travelers. He's up one. And then Keegan Bradley, who's also in his group. Russell Henley's in his group. They're the final pairing. Henley's kind of out of it. He's two behind Fleetwood, so probably not going to get there. I mean, so all three hit their drives. Fleetwood's in the fairway. Keegan Bradley's about 15 yards away from him. Very close. Henley misses to the left. He's a lot shorter than him. Henley hits up to the fairway. Keegan Bradley goes. He puts it onto the green, probably about 5, 10 feet, and you can see Tommy Fleetwood. He was very much in between clubs, which was never a great sign to begin with. Couldn't hit a confident shot in there. Ends up like a little short. No big deal. He can still make par, and it forced Bradley to make his putt for a playoff. Fleetwood putts, still is outside of Bradley, about a foot behind Keegan Bradley. Misses the par putt, I think he hits a ball mark. You can see it bounce. Keegan Bradley got the line, sinks it in front of his home people, and is just Tommy Fleetwood. That was his 42nd top 10 on the PGA Tour without a victory, most all time. And it's just someone you'd love to see win and just couldn't win. And it's
Mhm.
just, that was horrible to watch.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's very tough.
It's somebody you want to see win and like finally get over that hump, and you just unfortunately couldn't do it.
Mm. Local legend time.
Oh yeah, I suppose we never officially declared it. I have a feeling I know who you're gonna say, but we never
Yeah.
officially declared it.
We haven't officially declared it, but it was pretty obvious at the beginning of the episode. Roman Voss getting it done. Big commitment for the Gophers, like we said, and very good time to be a Gopher fan, and or I'd say a Minnesota sports fan in general. But Twins not doing too hot. Lynx, hey, they're playing well, but
One of the best, one of if not the best team in the WNBA, and I have a sneaking suspicion that one factor was to be Dalton's local legend. One of the main reasons he didn't go to Alabama, if I had to guess.
what's that?
Roman probably wasn't gonna get it if he went to Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, oh man. I'd have to agree with you. Maybe next week it'll be Pierce Peter. I can't even say his name right now.
Pierce Peterson. Hopefully
Yeah,
he can add to the collection to the esteemed group that you have started.
yeah. We might start giving out plaques here. Send them in the mail or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not quite big time enough for that, but eventually we'll get there, hopefully.
Right.
Make it a traveling trophy like the Stanley Cup.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Looking ahead to next week here, we haven't looked too far ahead, to be completely honest. Next episode, you will see some All-Star game voting though for MLB, which we are very excited to do on the show, and maybe we'll have some Vikings news or something. Or
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be kind of in that lull period where there's not really any sports on, like all of them are wrapping up, but I think the All-Star game voting will be fun to show our ball knowledge.
yeah, yeah, maybe we could talk about. I'll try to get on the golf course for these next few days. We can talk about how horrific it will be. Yeah,
I mean, that's the beauty of golf, ain't it?
yeah,
Why we
unfortunately.
love it.
But Yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.